What's going on? What did I hit? This is what I wanted to hit. There we go. Jeez. Hit the wrong bloody button. Get us in the picture here. Hello, everybody. Disregard the little screen thing happening up there. I hit the wrong button. Of course, why am I telling you that right now? Because it's still, we see it before you do. But anyways. So, can everybody hear us and see us? I hope so. And let's see who's coming in. Judy says, thanks for the time you put into the retreat. Great day. I think it went well. Suzanne says, hi, everyone. And yes, I did enjoy being part of it. Got lots done. Glenna says she was sorry she wasn't able to sign up. Had a family obligation. Your loss. Let's see. Marcia says, Marcia from North Carolina. She says, I have watched your videos of the vacation and just love your shirts. The fabric shine. You both look so dapper. Does that word age me? Great work, Walter. Yes, we like our shirts. Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. I really enjoyed the retreat and accomplished a lot. Well, that's great. And Nadine is here. Bonsoir, Nadine. You had a good time too. I am glad. Ken No Show is here. Hello, Ken No Show. Nancy LaVenture is here. Thank you, Stephen, for your fantastic retreat. Having those presenters was great. Yep, they did a wonderful job, as I knew they would. Barb's here. She had a lot of fun at the retreat. Great. Hello, Donna. Hello, Derek. Hello, Mary. Cheryl is here. And Dale Evans is here as well. So we'll just wait a second or two, have a sip of my beer, and see who else is going to join us, and then we'll get started. And of course, we are going to talk about the retreat. So those of you that couldn't make it or decided you didn't want to come or didn't know what it was about, well, sucks to be you. Because we had a damn good time.
I even got up early.
Yeah, Walter even got up early, so there you go. And I'm still tired out of it all, but it's a good tired. Janet's here. Hi, Janet. Retreat was great. Great. I'm glad you liked it. And Janet Fraser's here as well. And Deb's here. Enjoyed the retreat and the presenters. That's great. Okay, so let's jump into something. We are going to talk a little bit about the retreat, maybe talk about a few other things, as we often do. And a lot of the times we go off on a tangent because you guys come up with things, and so we just talk. Sue says, thanks for a great retreat. It's hot in Missouri today, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32.2 for you centigrade people. Yes, right now here it's 14, but it was 18. See?
Yeah, it was sunny, but now it's raining.
Now it's raining. Walter went out to cut the grass, got rained on. Pam is here. Hello, Pam. And anyways, so yesterday during the retreat, I discovered something. And I'll show you what I discovered here. You know, Stephanie has been doing, or she's finished it right now, but she was doing the All-Star Quilt, her design. And I started it back before we went on our trip, and I was very proud of the fact yesterday that I had this all done. However, if you look at it, something might jump out at you near the bottom two rows. It almost looks like it's trying to form a secondary pattern, but it's weird. Walter, of course, spotted it within 10 seconds of the whole thing, and I wasn't comfortable with that either. Well, then I discovered there was a whole nother section about finishing the layout, which involves sashing and cornerstones and all this, which makes a heck of a lot more sense. So guess what I did today? I tore it all apart. I sewed it. I took the borders off that I put on. I took all of the individual blocks out. I didn't take the blocks apart. And I've cut my sashing and my cornerstones, and now I can do it the right way. So, yes, it was an idiot move, and it'll look much better. But I didn't realize that there was more to the pattern. I should have. When I started putting this together, going, this thing is not really... it's off, and it's off because I'm missing parts. So anyways, that's my project for tomorrow, with all things that I have to do. So yeah, lots of fun with that kind of thing. So what are people saying here? Sly is here from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Billy's here. Hi, Billy. Scrunchions, pincushions, scrunchions. I can't say that. I just can't. I know if you put like cushions,
Scrunchions.
crunchions.
Like crunching.
Yeah, I know, but I just have trouble with it.
Scrunching.
I have a retreat hangover. Okay, it was the best retreat I ever attended. It was also the only retreat I attended. Well, good. You have nothing to compare it to then, so it's excellent. Faith is here. Love the kitty cat shirt. Yep. One of Walter's creations. I think you
I
guys
think about that fabric on special. From
Did you?
Yeah.
At one time?
Yeah. I think I only paid like $7.99 a yard for it.
Yvonne's here from Corona.
It is timeless treasures though.
Yeah, it is. Martha's Creative Life is here. Martha's here. Good afternoon. Hello, Steve Walter. Hello, Martha. And Debbie's here. Hi, all. Debbie, you gave me such a hard time yesterday with your last name. You know, pick one and stick to it. That's all I can say for the retreat. Now I know who you are. But yesterday I was, who the hell are you? I've got 3 Debbies coming on here, and you're not one of them, but you were one of them. Katie Crafts is here. Hello, Katie Crafts. So anyways, yeah, I've got that to fix, that quilt that you saw. And I have, I made the mistake of offering to make a quilt for my sister-in-law. And she kind of gave me a color scheme. And so she's narrowed it down to 2 patterns that I showed her a bunch of patterns. That's fine. Both are very doable. Although I'm going to have to find out what size she wants, because these might be a little small, but they're easy enough to make a little bigger. But now I'm on the hunt for fabric that she's going to like. And I did a search online today, but you just can't tell online with the colors. She likes she wants it subtle. And she wants
what? She wants a pattern that doesn't look like a pattern.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially,
she wants grays and gray blues.
Which I think can look very nice in their thing. But you know, it's
a quilt for a non-quilter.
Mm-hmm. It's just bringing up images of when I tried to make, or when I made that table runner for my sister, and we hunted high and low for the fabrics to get it. But
we'll figure it out.
I have some ideas.
I have some ideas in my head as far as color scheme.
Oh, do you?
Well, no. I mean, you usually ask me.
Yeah, well, fine. Yeah, that's okay. Stephanie's here. Hi, Stephanie. And Nancy's saying hi to Bob. Wendy's here. Hi, Wendy.
You know, it's probably one of those things that this is what she has in her head. But then if you were to show her something that's an alternative that's close to what she had, thing, she might like it even better. But she's just not willing to step outside the box.
Well, the hard part of it is showing it to her. She's in BC.
Yeah, I know. You might actually even have to mail her a couple of scraps of fabric.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That I might make a block from each one with some fabric that I get, or see, or whatever, and so she can figure it out, I guess. Persida is here. Hi, Persida, and Beverly, and Mona, and we said all of those. Katie Crafts. Did I say Katie Crafts? Barb. Everybody's saying hi to Mona. Nellie's here. Hello, Nellie. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on. That, and I've got so many other things too. I'm still making things to take with me to Halifax when we go next month. And my 3D printers have just been going 24/7 since we got home. Okay, I've got the hiccups. You take over. So what are you working on?
I'm working on another shirt.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're working on another shirt.
Yeah, I had a hard time matching the pocket up because out of my leftover scraps from cutting it, I couldn't find the pattern for the stupid pocket. And I ended up actually finding one spot that had a match up for the pocket. And I ended up having to alter the design of the pocket because it really didn't, the original design really didn't fit in to that spot. So I modified it so it would fit.
Well, a lot of times shirts you'd buy in the store, they don't match up the pocket.
No, I know, but now that I've sort of gotten
Yeah, I
into
know.
doing it, it's sort of like
It's your trademark.
it's sort of like something I like to. This one doesn't match. I have that was
Wally's
before-
invisible pockets, you see?
That was before I
It's the
started to
pocket.
match the pockets. So
Yeah, that's right.
you know, it's your
Thanks,
pocket.
Stephanie. Yeah, I know, my pocket's right there, but you can't see it. It's invisible. How about by the for your sister-in-law? Okay, Suzanne, something is lost in the translate. How about Laby? What? The for your sister. Okay, Suzanne, you need to fix that up because I'm not really sure what you're saying there. Barb says stitches. Stephanie, your presentation is great. Yes, Stephanie's presentation was really insightful. For those of you that weren't at the retreat, Stephanie talked about, from a judge's point of view, how quilts are judged. And you want to know something? What I learned from that presentation, and also from Sean, the guy who sews, because he talked about entering shows, and he's won a few awards for his quilts at state fairs and stuff. What I learned from both of the presentations, which were excellent, was go in with the attitude you're going to learn from the experience. Don't go in with the attitude that you've got to win, because I think you'll be disappointed. I mean, I think about my very first and only quilt show I ever entered a quilt in, which was with the guild I used to belong to. And I was damn sure in my head. I mean, my logical mind was going, look, it's your first, you haven't been quilting that long, it's your first show, you're not going to win anything. But there's that little piece inside of you that goes, but what if? What if? And I was really proud of that quilt, and I still am, because that quilt I designed myself. They told us it was a challenge kind of a thing. They gave us, we had 1 meter of a fabric that we had to use in it, but we could, you know, go beyond that meter, of course, with other fabrics. And I thought it looked really good. And I was very, very careful. I ripped it out a lot of times to make sure I had perfect points and everything on my half square triangles and other things that were in it. And yeah. Then they positioned my quilt next to one that the woman had appliqued caricatures of all her friends that she gets together with to sew, and it won in the category.
But she was playing to whoever was judging it, which was probably a group of people in the quilt executive or something like that.
But I've never entered again. Well, there hasn't been any opportunities really out here to do it, and you know, I'm not that interested in entering into quilt shows. And after what I heard Stephanie talk about in how things are judged as well, yeah, I think judges, I think a lot of it is left up to the individual judge's taste. You know, yes, there's a certain amount of looking at the skill and things like that as well, but I think some of it really is what grabs the interest of the individual judges as well. So, you know, as I said, I think if you enter in a show, go in with the attitude that you're going to learn something. You're going to learn what you can do better and what you did well. And if you win something, great, bonus. And if you don't get discouraged by it, really. You know, it's a lot of competition, really is. There's a lot of brilliant quilters out there. What are people saying here? Brenda's here. Hello, Brenda, from Chile, Vancouver. Love the cat shirt. Had a hard time getting into chat. Well, you'll learn. Dana's here. Oh, I'm not speaking to Dana. Dana was going to come to the retreat, and then she threw us over.
She got a better offer.
She got a better offer. Yeah, so we're not talking to Dana. Hello to everyone from Din at Pitcher Creek, Alberta. 16 ladies taking part in a 4-day machine work. Okay, Dana. Add insult to injury. Sure, come on to our live. Our theme is about my retreat, our retreat, not about yours. And then you have to tell everybody, oh, you had a wonderful time with this one. Rub it in. Not talking to you, Dana.
Stephanie's asking what colors your sister-in-law is requesting.
Grays and very, very pale blues.
Yeah, no, grays and gray blues.
Yeah.
Because and she wants something that's subtle, not too much of a pattern. So in other words, like one gray sheet.
So, oh well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And Debbie says, "I've always noticed your matching pockets, Walter. I'm impressed." And Ron says,
Well, I haven't, not all of them match. I just started doing that a little while ago. So.
and Ron says, "You're already a winner. You have Walter." Okay,
Right.
why don't you two just get a room? For God's sakes. Really, Ron?
I guess I'm not the winner then.
Oh. First of all, Dana insults me. Now you insult me. Go ahead. It's open season. Everybody just let me have it. Yeah. I'm joking. Not about Dana. I'm just going, Dana. Okay. Wendy, I didn't really agree with Steph about the age of the material in a quilt. Well, you can fight it out with her if you want, Wendy.
I mean, I think she's just telling you what happens when quilts are being judged.
Yeah, you know. See, this is the thing. I see, Wendy. I think you're clicking on this one here. Really think about it.
It's not really her opinion. It is more what happens when things get.
But I'm saying that the judges themselves. I mean, I asked Stephanie the question. So she talked about published judges, the ones that they put the name up of who the judges are. And I said, do people see that in advance? And what I was thinking is, if you can see who the judges are in advance, and if you're somebody who enters a lot of shows and you see the same names come up or ones you're familiar with, you might think, I don't think I have a chance in this one because that judge is very, very, particular about this or whatever kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think the age of the material in the quilt was more in reference to the fact that quilts were supposed to be finished within the last couple of years or something like that. And one of the ways they do that one of the ways they determine that is the age of the material that's in the
well, if it's a line that's been discontinued for several years,
right,
kind of thing, maybe they want something more current. I don't know. That is a question for Stephanie.
Yeah.
Right there. So let's see where else. Marcia says, matching line up perfectly those pockets makes shirts look designer high end, worth the time. Yeah, I like them because I have to have pockets on my shirts so I have someplace to put my glasses. Oh gosh, kind of boring. If it's for her, you could do fairy frost, so at least make it pretty and then do a large carpenter star. Yeah, I thought of fairy frost because I really like fairy frost, but I think it'd be too glittery for her. She wants it understated. Okay, she wants it subtle. That's what she told me.
Yeah, so, you remember she's not a quilter.
Yeah.
And like in her house in the kitchen, it's all gray cabinets.
It's very, very nice. My sister-in-law has very good taste when it comes to decorating. She's really, she's very much on the modern look and what's trending and that kind of thing. She has a real sense of that. Well, she actually, I think she went back to school at one point, was doing some interior design courses and things like that. So, she knows what she's talking about. But she is coming at this from that point of view, as opposed from the point of view many of us that are quilters come from.
Yeah, whereas you guys are making things with patterns and things that stand out a little bit and look interesting.
Yeah.
What she wants is something that doesn't look interesting.
Well, she wants designer, kind of.
Yeah.
And quilt can be designer. So, anyways, it's a bit of a challenge, but that's okay. We'll hunt it out. We'll get it to something that she wants, that she likes. I mean, I'd like to make her a quilt she really likes, not a quilt that she goes, okay, that's nice, and then it never sees the light of day, kind of a thing. So it's worth the effort to put into it. It's a bit of a challenge.
Plain solids, maybe, or something subtle pattern.
Yeah, I don't do plain solids. Sorry, and I don't do plain solids for anybody. So no. I'm sorry. I know many people out there love solids. I mean, Sean, the guy who sews, he loves solids, does brilliant things with them. I'm just not a solid person. I have to have a touch
whole
of pattern.
cloth quilt that's heavily quilted.
Well, that's not such a dumb idea there, Lydia. In some ways. But you'd have to find the perfect fabric for it again. So,
Yeah.
and in my way of thinking, although a whole cloth quilt is a quilt, it's not really a quilt, in my opinion. It's a blanket. Okay, I know people are going to be controversial. So no, because you do all this quilting on that, and I get it, and I've seen some really beautiful ones, but it's a cheater quilt.
Who knows? She may not even like that.
Well, yeah. So I don't know, but we'll see. Same scrunchions. I'm with you, scrunchions. What does scrunchion say? How about the whole cloth?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, whatever. So, anyways, that's the challenges I have coming up. Not to mention all the other projects I want to do. I still haven't even gotten started. I have the fabric for it, for the indigenous quilt that I want to make those fabrics, and I've had the fabrics for a while, and they're hard to get. And then if you saw the video from Stephen or from Chatty on Friday, I talked about one place where I picked up a bundle. I think that was Chitter Chatter of the indigenous fabrics. I figured, okay, you can never have too many of this because they're not easy to get. So, anyways, so besides the shirt, that's all you've been working on?
Yeah, well, I didn't have much time yesterday because of having to try and highlight people and things like that. And
yeah, you did a wonderful job of
yeah,
that.
well, when I got distracted, I couldn't find anybody.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of people at it. So, first of all, before we talk about the retreat, let's talk about last week's Craft and Chat. Every time I have a Craft and Chat, which is the first Wednesday of every month, we have more people. New bodies coming in all the time, which is great to see. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, because it adds to when you have more people, there's more conversation going.
Yeah, and it's more, new blood kind of a thing into it. So if you've never been to a Craft and Chats, first Wednesday of every month, starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon.
However, next month, I don't know what you'd be doing one.
Oh, will we
That's
be
a
on?
question.
What day do
We're
we
leaving
leave?
the 4th.
Oh, we may not be. I may not be able to do a Craft and Chat. I didn't even think about that until you look it up on your calendar here. What is it? It's June. You're in May. Do you know how to use that?
No.
Apparently not.
There we go.
June the 4th. Oh, is it
No,
June? No.
June, the first one would be the 7th.
Yep. So we'll be gone.
Unless
Okay.
you do one on the 31st or something.
Maybe. Or I just do a pop-up so day before we go or something to fill in for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, because the 7th will be staying in Moncton then.
That's right. Yep. So let's see where people say. Del Marie Snodgrass is, I'm making a plain black on black, white grunge and gray grunge large block quilt for my daughter's friend. She's very minimalist. Yeah, that's the term. I don't know if my sister-in-law would agree with using that term with her, but in a way, that term kind of applies, I think.
Yeah,
to her
like
to some
that
extent.
fabric that you get. That's the from Northcott or whoever, I can't remember. It's more like the grunge or the that sort of has a subtle pattern in it.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, we have to go shopping this week and take a look at for this. Japanese fabric is elegant and understated. Gotta find it though, Judy.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's expensive. I'm sure.
But always a possibility. However, hi Donna. So, anyways, yep. Craft and Chat was lots of fun, lots of people. So let's talk about the retreat. Okay. First of all, one of the things that really made the retreat were my presenters. There were 3. I had Sean, the guy who sews, and I already mentioned that he talked about what it's like to enter a quilt show. He's entered several at the state fair level, and he has won some prizes there as well. And he talked about the things he learned. Now, this is what I was saying before, that if you enter a quilt show, go in with the attitude that you can learn something about how you're doing with your creation of your quilts. He learned something which I had never heard of before, but he was told that one of the things that had voted him down on one of the things he entered was he did not sew down his mitered corners on his binding. I didn't even know that was a thing. But then Stephanie said what judges will do is take something like one of those purple things, and they'll stick it in. And if they can get it into the quilt, like in there, then
into the corner.
Yeah, they'll mark you down. And Stephanie said what she does, the trick is she glues them down. And as long as they can't get that thing in there, you're fine. But I was trying to figure out, maybe Stephanie can answer this question, because I didn't think to ask it yesterday. Why is it that that's a big concern? Is it because of longevity? Like, is that a weak point on a quilt, and maybe over time, after multiple washings or something, that could loosen up, and some of your batting or something could start to leak out or something? I don't know about that, but maybe Stephanie can tell me that or whatever. But he learned a lot from that, and so we learned from what he learned as he presented it. And then Russ from Quilt Meets World talked about the ins and outs of buying your first long arm. I say first long arm like you're going to go out and buy several. Oh, some people do. Usually people are running a business though. But he bought a secondhand one, and he didn't intend to buy it at the time that it became available, but the price he said was too good. He never did say what he got it for, but it must have been a really good price, because he's got it in his dining room. Because his intention was to eventually build an extension onto his house and then buy a long arm with that. But now he's got the long arm, and I guess he's not too concerned that it's in his dining room for that. But anyways, he had a real PowerPoint presentation that I thought was really good, because he talked about a lot of things that I wish I had known before I bought my first long arm. Not that I regret any of my decisions with my long arm, but for somebody who, it's a lot of money to invest, the presentation was excellent for that. And on Tuesday, his presentation and Sean's presentations will go up here on my channel. So those of you that didn't get to the retreat, you'll be able to see them. I had their permission for that. So that goes up on Tuesday on the channel if you're interested. And then Stephanie ended everything up really nicely by talking about things from, what judges are looking for. And I thought it tied in very nicely with what Sean had said as well. Stephanie was a little worried that she was doing too much overlap, but I don't think she did. It was all very good. And the only thing I regret is not having Stephanie record it, but that was I did request, but Stephanie, and she gave me her reasons why, and that is fine, that she didn't want to record it, and that's perfectly all right. But it was a really great presentation. So the 3 presentations throughout the day really made it. And I do have people do presentations, not long ones, although I think all 3 of them went a little over the guideline of the time I gave them, but it was quality stuff. So it was certainly not a problem at all. I usually say 30 to 45 minutes, but there were so many questions, so that's really what made them a little longer. And the questions were good. And it was really nice to see people were engaged with the presentations and asking the questions. Because, if I was doing a presentation and you get crickets, like, okay, anybody have any questions? Then you think you either bored them to death and they're all asleep still, or they tuned out after you opened your mouth in the first 5 minutes with it all. So it's good that there's questions, because it says that people were paying attention and they are engaged in it. That's the way I look at it anyways. It's not like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, anyone, crickets. So yeah, the presentations were excellent. And let's just back up here. And I see that other people are agreeing with me about that. Yeah, Ingrid says the presenters were awesome. And so does KD and Lydia. Also. Yeah, everybody's agreeing that the presentations were great. So once again, thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Sean and Russ. I don't think either one are here at the moment, but I really appreciate it because, you know, those were quality presentations, and I can't afford to pay anybody because I don't charge anything. And they put in their own time and a lot of effort to put together a quality presentation, and I really appreciate it because all three of those presentations were worthy of people coming to and paying a price to hear. So yeah. Um, just looking here. Oh, okay. Stephanie says longevity. They're looking for the quilt to hold up. I only do that for show quilts, not for my personal use quilts. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not doing it. And since I'm not probably going to enter any shows ever, I don't have to worry about it. Carrie's here. Hi, Carrie. And going down. And then Carol says maybe something could get caught in the opening of a mitered corner and that could result in a tear. And Stephanie says that's exactly what could happen. So that's good to know. Yes, there was great information from each speaker. So on my retreats, don't just entertain, we educate as well. And Stephanie says she liked the questions from everybody. Yeah, as I said, that really makes you feel like people are paying attention and that you haven't done this for naught. Well, thanks, Pamela. But I look for people that I know have topics and expertise that people are going to be interested in hearing too. I spend a great deal of time figuring out who I want as a presenter. I just don't approach anybody. I'd rather not have any presenters if I can't get quality presenters. And so, yeah, I spend a great deal of time thinking about it and, you know, working with the presenters as well to make sure that it's all going to come off great for everybody else. Because, yeah, sure, I don't charge anything for the retreat. And it would be very easy with that mindset to go in and say, yeah, well, whatever, you got it for nothing, so screw you, kind of a thing. It doesn't matter. I don't look at things like that. But quite frankly, the reason I don't charge for the retreat, and the retreat costs me money to put together. I mean, I give prizes out, there's cost in my time, all that kind of stuff. But the reason I don't charge is really simple. I can't be bothered with trying to figure out a way to collect money for it. And this kind of contradicts what I just said, but I also look at it, if you're charging money for something, you have to give people their money's worth. So nobody can say to me on my retreats, I didn't get my money's worth because it was free. So, yeah. Just reading down people's comments here. Patsy's here. Hello, Patsy. You're always late, Patsy. What do you, I guess it's better then. I'm joking with you. I probably scared Dana off. She probably thinks I'm really pissed off with her. I'm not. She had an opportunity to go to an embroidery retreat, which, you want to know something? I would be interested in something like that too, a machine embroidery retreat. I have been playing with the idea of actually adding maybe once a month, like a craft and chat day, but for machine embroiderers. But I already do so many things. I mean, and I don't know. And on top of it all, everybody has different embroidery machines. So I'd have to think of a way, you know, do we just do it like, okay, you just work on your own embroidery projects? But then we have the noise level. Everybody's microphone will be picking up their embroidery machines and nobody will be able to think. Or do we all work on a, you know, kind of an embroidery sew along kind of thing? I don't know. I'm not making any commitments to that. This is just airy-fairy ideas going around in my head. My head always has a lot of airy-fairy ideas, actually. Carrie enjoyed yesterday. Great. Uh,
My pleasure, as Stephanie says.
yep.
Thank you very much. Well, I think we tired you out too.
Yeah, yeah. I think we watched Stephanie yesterday, your live after the retreat, some of it, and you were talking about that you and Sean were both exhausted. I didn't even think about the fact that you usually do your Saturday night live things then, and how close that was to the retreat and everything. So I really appreciate the fact that that you spent the day with us, and then you went off and did your other one. I can imagine. I know how tired I was. Okay. So I can only imagine how tired you were as well, and Sean too. So that was, Sean had done his live in the morning. Then he came right over to mine and he did um, his presentation. And then he went off because his wife was coming home. She'd been away for a few days, so he hadn't seen her in a while. So he had to do that. And then he's got his own productions as well, as does Stephanie. So, and Russ too. Russ works as well. So he has a ton of things going too. So that's what I mean. If I could afford to pay all three of my presenters, I would have. But I have sent them lovely parting gifts in the mail. So do let me know, Stephanie, when you get it. It says, according to my tracking, I put them on tracking, that they're supposed to be delivered by May the 16th. So I've never really shipped anything to the States before on this level. So yeah. Okay. And Nancy says, and at Stephen, your quilt show was a very good put together too. Well, thank you, Nancy. I spent a lot of time planning it, but I'm a planner. And yeah, if you saw the papers that I had all over and my computer screen and everything, because I take notes, because I want to build on my failures, on my weaknesses. I want to make it better for the next retreat. So yeah, I don't take anything for granted when I plan a retreat.
Yeah. Stephanie also donated some patterns.
Oh, yes, yeah. That's right. Stephanie was so generous. She donated some of her original patterns as well. And I know the people who won those were thrilled with them as well. And that was really nice of you, Stephanie, to do that. I really appreciate that. Stephanie says, no worries. I was tired because I didn't sleep enough the night before, but the retreat was worth it. Well, I'm glad you think so. Thank you for that. Alexandria's here. Hi, everyone. Just taking a break from cleaning. Ugh, cleaning. Okay. So, what else about the retreat? I really appreciate it. The way most people were really conscious of the fact that we had 88 people at the retreat all at one time. I had 4 screens of people on the Zoom. And at the very beginning, I thought we're going to have a problem because people are forgetting to mute themselves. And I really hate having to mute everybody because somebody's having a conversation in the background and have forgot to mute. But I did a couple of times. And I know that might have seemed rude, but the problem was we couldn't hear what anybody else was saying. But people got to the point where they're, oh yeah, I got to mute. And so that worked out okay. And the other thing too was people didn't try to talk over top of other people, which I thought was really nice of them and very courteous, because that's the other thing I don't want to have to do. Maybe it's because I threatened if it happened. I said, as moderator, I can mute you, and I will. My sandbox, my rules. But I didn't really have to do that. And that makes life so much easier when you're being a moderator for something like that. Because, you want to give everybody a fair chance to say what they need to say and ask what they want to ask. So that was really nice. It was a great group. It's hard when you've got almost 90 people on something like this, on a Zoom. That's a lot to manage, okay?
Lydia says she's better at muting yourselves every time you have a virtual slow day. Yeah, it's difficult to, when you're on Zoom, sometimes you forget that other people are listening to whatever is going on.
and we've heard some interesting things.
I used to do. I used to take some lessons on Zoom with a guy that was my instructor, and all of a sudden somebody would get a phone call from their daughter or something like that, and then start this huge conversation on their phone, and not realizing that everybody's listening to the phone call.
Because we have on past retreats and on some of the craft and chat and pop-up so days, we've heard some people having a very serious conversation on a phone, and we're hearing a lot of it, and I don't think we should be hearing that. So I will mute.
Yeah, because they get flustered and they forget.
Yeah,
right?
they forget what's going on. And another thing that was really interesting about this retreat, at least I didn't notice it, no small children coming in going, grandma, 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 because that drives me mental. I mean, yes, I know your grandchildren are precious to you, but they're not precious to me.
You missed the comment. Also, Andy mentioned that she enjoyed the retreat, even though she doesn't quilt. So
yeah,
which is good, because it's nice that she joins us even though she doesn't quilt.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, I would never turn anybody away. Well, I'd never turn Andy away, but for sure, never. But I would never turn anybody away who wanted to join in on one of my retreats or one of my other days, or that aren't a quilter. It's open to anybody that's what I call a creator. Anybody who makes things of any sort, whether you knit, crochet, you know, you've heard me say
it does
this
tend
before.
to be a lot of quilters. Like, I mean, I do shirts and stuff. I don't really quilt, but I mean, I live in a household that's got a quilter, so I listen. I'm interested in sewing in general, so.
Like, I watch knitting podcasts on YouTube occasionally,
But don't knit.
and I don't knit.
Though I don't really understand the thrill of it.
No, I don't really. I don't understand. Oh, it's another shawl, another pair of socks. Okay, whatever. But I do watch that. But you know why I watch those? Because of the personalities of the people that are on them. And I think too, when you come to something like a retreat or one of my other days and stuff like that, it's the people who make it. It's not what we are necessarily doing or creating, although it's nice to see what other people are creating and that kind of thing, because I find that inspiring. But it's the people that make it, the interaction with people. And I've heard other people say that too. There's been many of you have written me some very nice emails from after yesterday, and I really appreciate your kind comments. But a couple of people told me that they are basically housebound for one reason or another. They just can't get out into, to meet up with other people. And for them, this is something they really look forward to because it's social. And, they're meeting other people and they're getting to interact with people. And, that makes me feel very happy because it's more than just quilting or creating. It's giving an outlet for somebody who may not have an outlet to socialize for one reason or another. So yeah, I'm very happy about that as well.
Actually, Teresa, no, I haven't watched Vintage Sewing on Sewing School on YouTube. I should take a look at that.
Where's that?
Teresa DeJong.
Oh, Vintage Sewing School on YouTube. No. A lot of good garment sewing tips.
Yeah, I do watch some videos sometimes of garment sewing on YouTube to pick up on different techniques.
Yeah.
So that would be good to look at.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, Stephanie said her youngest came down and waved at her, but he didn't talk. I didn't see that, but it's not that I mind children. But I go by the old adage, children should be seen and not heard, especially during a YouTube or during a Zoom call, because they get in the way. And we weren't interrupted by any animals barking. Few people had their kitties now. I love to see people's pets because I love animals.
I mean, it's more like a disruption thing.
Yeah.
More than anything. It's like crying babies, probably not anything anybody wants to hear, but stuff like that. But I mean, sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes if you've got grandkids, or something like that, and they run in out of the blue or something, it's nothing that you can.
No, there's nothing. They
I mean, you may have to mute you for a minute just so that
But I do remember back on something way back when I think one of my very first Zoom kind of things like this, somebody had their daughter was there with an infant, and infant was doing what infants do: cry and cry and cry, and it was so bad, so loud, that I had to mute the person, and that didn't go away. I mean, every time the person came on to say something, you'd hear crying baby again. And, at that point, you just want to say, well, pop it in the microwave, keep it warm, serve 4 in 10 minutes, kind of a thing. Yeah, I'm serious. But, that kind of thing. And I think people are very aware of that kind of thing, and because they always apologize. I'm so sorry, I didn't know this was going to happen. And, well, yeah, we'll forgive you, just don't be upset when I mute you until that annoyance goes away. Nancy says Sean's wife is a hoot on YouTube with her knitting, just to watch her eyes and facial expressions. I have never checked out. I know his wife has a YouTube channel, and I know she's a knitter. She's won prizes at state fairs for her stuff too, but I've never watched any of her videos, so maybe I need to do that.
Yeah, it was Lydia showed us her short long arm, not like
her frame, her grace frame.
It's a grace frame with a FAF machine on it. That was very interesting.
Yeah, geez, Lydia, you want to be a presenter at the next retreat in the fall? I'm kind of being serious, because that was an impromptu little presentation, and that was very interesting with it. So yeah. Scrunchin says, my cats were well behaved during the retreat. They didn't bark once. Yes, that's true. And if they had, I would have liked to have heard that one. Seen that. Yeah, Dog Mum Knits. Yeah, I did sort of know it, but I'd forgotten it. So thanks, Katie. Oops, forgot the live stream. Thanks again for the great retreat day, guys. The presenters were very informative and helpful. Yeah, they were. So what other things can I talk about? Okay, let's talk about the prizes. Again, because I don't charge any money, I can't really afford to buy a lot of prizes. I mean, all the patterns that I gave out, some of them were freebies that I've had before, but many of them are patterns that I have actually bought. So I am not stepping on copyright. Okay. Also, I'm only giving one of them away, and I own it. I'm done with it.
And you probably haven't even used it.
Well, that's a possibility too, because I'm a bit of a pattern slut with it. But so yeah, and the Amazon gift certificates, I've got to stop giving them away to Americans. It costs me that one. But no, I'm kind of kidding about that. But I just thought that sweetens the pot a little bit. I mean, if I had my druthers, I would have a lot more prizes. I would, you know what I'd really like to do? Is I would like to figure out a way to give a swag bag. You know how if you go to a retreat sometimes, especially ones that are sponsored by a business or something like that, they have a little bag of goodies in it, I would love to try to figure out a way to do that digitally. I did on my very first retreat. I put together a bunch of freebie patterns and some other things that were all like downloadable, and I put them into a file that I had made into a zip file, and I put it on my Google Drive, and I gave people the link to it and said, you can download this if you want. It's a digital swag bag. But I did that only the one time. And the reason being is I couldn't think of interesting things that you can transfer digitally.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
Yeah, more. If we had Transporter Beam, yeah, here's the bag. Boom. I could send you all kinds of 3D printed gnome things and stuff like that. But I haven't done that since the very first retreat. And I think now I think this was retreat number 4. I think. Might have been 5. I may have had 4. Sure. I can't remember when I first started doing them. And I usually do them twice a year. So the next one, if you're interested, if you didn't make this one, will be sometime early October, probably after, it depends on when Thanksgiving is here in Canada. Our Thanksgiving, of course, is always a good month and a half earlier than the American Thanksgiving. Walter's looking it up right now, but it'll probably be, so it'll be early October. And everything will go out about that, just as I have before, so you'll know well in advance.
Our Thanksgiving is October 9th.
Okay, so it might be the weekend after that, which would be the 15th of October.
Saturday, 14th.
14th of October. So maybe, don't hold me to that. It's
around then.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be around then, probably. But I'll put things out in advance. Now, having said that, how will that work? Well, anybody who was at the retreat yesterday, I have a special file with your names and your email in them. I have a mailing list, actually. And I will send out to you first. You get first dibs at signing up for the next retreat. And I'll give a time limit for that. I'll probably give it about a week before I make the general announcement on my YouTube channel and put up the information there. That's your little reward for coming to the last one and showing up for it. I had 6 people who signed up for the retreat who did not show up. I have not heard from them. Basically, they're on my blacklist. They will not get an advanced emailing. And in fact, they probably, if they want to come to the retreat, depending on how quickly signing up happens on it, I may not have any spots for them. I'm sorry, that sounds absolutely
I mean, like
cruel.
if they had a last minute thing happen, that they couldn't come, they could have at least emailed Stephen and let him know that something drastic has happened and they can come.
And there were a couple of them that are repeat offenders. So those ones are on my blacklist. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. But I think it's unfair that whatever happened to them, okay, whatever the reason is, they took spots that could have been taken up by somebody else who didn't get a chance to go. Now, in this particular retreat, I didn't have anybody left over. I actually had about 4 spots available as well. But I'm punishing them. Like I said, my sandbox, my rules. So, yeah. And I think, though, what really burns my butt is that they didn't even make an attempt to send me an email after the fact. Well, maybe they will, but we'll see how long after the fact to explain themselves. Because, yes, you do have to explain yourself. I'm sorry. I put a lot of work into this. My presenters put a lot of work into this. And people who came made a commitment in their schedules to come to this. So it says to me that your attitude about things is, well, something might come up better at the last minute. So, and I didn't pay anything for this. So, it doesn't hurt anybody. I didn't lose any money or anything. Yeah, it did. Do I take it personally? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I'll admit that. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I took it personally. Okay. So, especially with the ones that were repeat offenders. So, yeah, I'm sorry if you think I'm a horrible person because I say that kind of thing, but there's such a thing in the world called accountability. I'm a big believer in it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few retreats ago. I remember somebody signed up right at the very beginning, right? Like it was number 1.
Number one was gun-ho.
And didn't show up.
And
made a big to-do about joining up.
Yep, and everything like that, and never, ever sent me a message telling me, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. This came up on Sunday.
I believe it was that person and an immediate relative that they signed up.
Yes, it was 2 of them. 2 of them right there.
But neither one of them showed up.
Yeah, neither one showed up. They took 2 spots. And on that particular retreat, I did have a waiting list. And there were people on the waiting list that didn't get on. And there was 2 there could have had. Yeah, so, yeah. It does piss me off. I'm honest about it. I'm always honest about things like that. Hate me if you want to, but that's okay. I'll get over it. Just backing up here. Janet loved, also enjoyed the retreat. Katie liked the pattern she got. That's great. I'm glad you did. Lydia says, I was happy to share with everyone. I learned so much from everyone else. It's nice to be able to share with others. And thank you, Stephen Walter, for giving us a platform to do so. Yep, and that's one of the mandates of when I do any of these things.
That is nice, because a lot of people were talking about different frames, like the Cutie frame and the Grace frame and that. And it was interesting to talk to people that actually had some experience with them.
Yeah, yeah. Judy says, let us buy you a coffee. It's okay, Judy. I have my own coffee machine. I can make macchiato with it. But thanks for the sentiment. Carrie says, okay, we will just come to your house and then get the swag bags. Oh, yeah, right. I'm not telling you where I live. He says, and
She was talking to Lydia about
the frame.
About the frame, yeah.
And Julie says, I'm envious of Canada's earlier Thanksgiving. The American one is usually cold and even snowy.
Well, ours could be cold.
Yeah,
and snowy
that could be
too.
the thing too.
Yeah.
Just,
you got to remember, live a little bit more north.
Just freeze the feathers right off your turkey. In fact, we have turkeys in the backyard.
Yeah, we have wild turkeys in the backyard.
Yeah,
they're interesting to see.
There's one big ugly sucker there. I think he's a tom. And yeah, I thought they'd all been eaten by the coyotes, but apparently not.
No, heard them this morning. They were like making a racket this morning.
Yeah. Judy says, you guys are right. There should have been communication at least. Well, I don't know, but I was brought up with a certain amount of manners, although you'd never know it. But where, you thank people for things that people do. And, if there's something that your plans change and people are depending on you, but you can't, it's something you just can't get out of, you explain them. They are, if these people are good, are friends or whatever, anybody for that, they deserve to know. And I don't like the excuses.
And even if they got a better offer, they could at least lie.
Yeah. And you want to know something else too? Excuses I've heard before. And whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Oh, I wasn't feeling well. That is a lame excuse. Okay? It may be real. It may be real. But think about it in your own life. How many times have you heard people say, oh yeah, I just wasn't feeling right. I was sick. As a school teacher, I used to hear that excuse a lot from kids and from the kids' parents for why kids didn't get their assignments in on time or something. Oh, well, they were sick. And after a while, it's like, you don't know whether or not it's the little boy crying wolf in those things either. So, it may be true, illness happens. I get that. But sometimes you just wonder, She says, you're totally fair. Some people don't take responsibility. They don't have dollars invested. Yeah, and I have had it suggested to me, and I have thought about it, about charging a sign-up non-refundable deposit. But then that brings up the whole thing. But I got to collect money.
Sue says, if I don't show up, it's an emergency room with no Wi-Fi involved. That's true. Okay, you're in an emergency room. Nothing's stopping you from when you get home from your emergency or whatever, unless you end up in the hospital, of course.
Forever.
That you send, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it today because I had an emergency, ended up in the emergency room.
Yeah. But some people, I don't even get that from the no-shows.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, I get it. Okay, life happens. I've said that.
Yeah, I know people have emergencies and you don't think about, oh yeah, I was supposed to be going to a sewing retreat today, but I ended up in the emergency room and couldn't show up, or like you could at least.
I was in a terrible accident, or one of my children, or my husband, or my wife, or somebody like that. Okay, those are events that you have no control over whatsoever. But it would not kill you at some point to drop a note, to say, this is what I'm sorry, this is what happened. Because at least then, if I got that kind of note, I would know there was something that happened. Okay? Nothing. Nothing. Leaves you in limbo with it. And so many people have no idea, Katie says, how to RSVP and have the courtesy to show up. Yeah, that's true. That's an etiquette thing. Derek says common courtesy costs nothing. Yeah. Nancy says you're 100% correct. You do a lot of work and it should be appreciated. Well, you know, I'm not necessarily looking for a pat on the back. I'm looking for accountability. Okay. I'm not looking for someone to give me.
I mean, people
praise
show up,
for
manage
this.
to show up for their work every day, so
Yeah.
because they know they're going to get
Mhm.
paid, right?
Yeah.
But
Deb says my hubby even said don't blame him for putting people off the list. Yeah. Putting people off the list. Yeah. Nancy appreciates people who say what they mean. Well, I always do, and it gets me in a lot of trouble at times. I've never learned. I used to get in a lot of trouble at school because I would say things like parent going on in a parent-teacher interview. Oh, well, she had this, and then she had that, she had that. And I go, oh, try to imagine how little I care. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry, it's reflex action.
Nellie Franco has a Grace frame, but she hasn't used it.
Oh,
Another person.
I still don't understand these people who have, like, who was it that was talking about, was telling me, one person was telling me she's got a 550E, not going to name names, okay, and she's had it for a year and a half and hasn't taken it out of the box yet. Don't be afraid of the box. You bought it. You deserve.
I don't
to
understand people that spend all this money on an expensive piece of product and don't even take it out of the box.
Yeah, I think there's a fear. I think there's a psychological fear that you're going to break something, or, you know, for me, I'd be sitting there. I couldn't get it out of the box quick enough. I want to play. Sometimes that gets me into trouble because, you know, a manual, that's just for when all else fails, read a manual. You know, I want to get right in there and get dirty with it, so to speak. You're not horrible. You were very clear in your rules beforehand. I hope so. But you know, people push you to your limit, don't they? You know, I mean, again, I have to fall back on my experience as a high school teacher. Kids always know how to push you to the limit, and they're very clever about it too. Mm-hmm. And their parents are as well. So I've had my back up against a wall many times in my life, and I've decided that I'm just going to come out fighting with it. Because if you bend over backwards for those kind of people that are purposely pushing your back to the wall, you're going to be constantly pummeled to death. You got to have a little backbone. You know, there may be consequences, yes, but, you know, I'll deal with the consequences.
Like, one thing that would be unusual is if we had a regular that would come on like Craft and Chat all the time, comes on retreats all the time, and then they didn't show up and we didn't hear from them.
Yeah.
Then I'd be really worried something had happened to them.
Yeah, that there was a serious problem, you know, with that. So it works that way too. Lydia says the guys help support the entire idea of quality of quilting community. Yeah, it is a community, and that's what that's one of my missions here on my channel and the things I do. Bring people together.
Yeah, actually, it's great because you get a chance to meet all kinds of people from all over the place, and sometimes all over the world. So
we have made so many friends that we have never physically met through YouTube. You know, like this on our live too. There are many of you here that we see week in and week out all the time, and you know, we have communication with you this way. And then the people that come to the Craft and Chat and to the pop-up sew days and the retreats as well. Basically, I consider those people friends. And we're going to get to meet some of them when we go down to Halifax, which we're kind of excited about, to actually meet them face to face. And then they'll see how ugly we really are in real life without the makeup on and the hair done, you know, like really.
It's when you see people standing up and find out they're really short or really tall.
Yeah, well, I'm really short. So, well, I'm not really, really short, but I'm short. Yeah, Deb says you warned people countless times in your videos prior to retreat. Yeah, and I felt I was sounding like a broken record. But I wanted people to know this is how it works. Colleen says, I had a great day yesterday. Thank you, Stephen, for the pattern I want. I had a Moda Christmas jelly roll looking for you, so I have already divided up accordingly. That's great, Colleen. I'm glad that you're happy with that. Lydia, Julie says, we all are a great bunch, and everybody was nice and encouraging and helpful and kept the energy light and productive. Good times. Yeah, and you know, I had a couple of people that had never been to any kind of retreat before, and they wrote to me before the retreat and said, how does this really work? I'm a little nervous about this because I've never been to something like this. And I wrote back to them and said, there is nothing to worry about. It's very relaxed. You work on whatever you want to work on. And I said, you're going to find that the other people are there are both supportive and friendly. Everybody is there to have a good time. Nobody's going to cut you up. Nobody's going to get into an argument with you, because if they do, I will deal with them. And nobody does. With that, everybody is extremely supportive with the whole situation. And I had one of those people write back to me yesterday after the retreat and tell me how happy they were they decided to go through with it, because they were so nervous and unsure. And, you know, they loved it. Can't wait for the next one. So that makes me happy. That makes me happy. Carol says, I love the retreat. I'm putting the binding on the twin size quilt. I finished long arming during the retreat. I'm not sewing down the miter cords. That just looks tacky. Well, I think it probably looks okay if you know how to do invisible sewing by hand, but that's not me. I don't know. Anna's here. Off topic. That fabric bundle you have labeled Christmas that doesn't look Christmassy looks like vintage Christmas cards.
I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, that's true, Anna. I've been sewing my corners down since I watched Leah Day's binding videos. You can't even see the thread when you use the same color. It doesn't really look too tacky. Yeah, like I said, I think if you know how to hand sew, but I don't want to learn. I'm not going to do it. As simple as that. Cheryl says, I usually grab the manual and read it on the way home when I get a new machine. Yeah, I look through it. I hope there's lots of pictures. I like the pictures. Sewing down the corner, I had a vision of gorgeous embroidered flowers and stars in each corner, but I suck at embroidery. Bummer. You want to know something? I have seen on YouTube people who actually use decorative stitching on their sewing machine to sew down their binding. So it goes across the binding on the front, and it looks like an additional sort of little fine border on it. I haven't tried that yet.
That might be kind of tricky.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be a little tricky, but maybe on a smaller piece to start with, maybe like on a placemat or a table runner, and just try that technique.
Well, I have when I do those bags that I do, I have a piece of fabric that's about the size of the binding.
Yeah.
And I run the sewing machine
you do
it and decorative stitch it.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, it might look kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The only problem is depending on what pattern you use for decorative stitching it, you might not. It may be hard matching up the.
Yeah, corners when you go around, but there are some patterns that's more forgiving in. So it's something I'm thinking about, but I'll try it on a small little piece that doesn't really matter first to get a feel for it before I try it on a, regular quilt.
I mean, it's something to do with all those fantastic decorative
stitches on your sewing machine. Also, I'm wondering right now, thinking out loud, I wonder how that looks on the backside.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
I don't
know.
Well,
actually, I have one that I do that's a flower type thing on
it looks about the same on both sides.
And it looks pretty much the same on both sides.
Yeah.
Because I I have one that I was using on the Christmas bags that I do a gold thread on the outside, and because the inside you can't really see the inside that much, I use a yellow thread instead.
And I just thought of something else. Okay, when I do machine binding, I sew the binding to the back first and bring it over to the front. But if you were to sew it on the front first with a decorative stitch and then bring it over to the back, you could possibly, I don't know, but you might be able to actually get that edge of the binding over top of the back of the stitches so you wouldn't see them. No. No, because you got to sew through the other. No, that's not going to work. So anyways, Colin says, appreciate the company at the retreats, craft and chats, and I look forward to seeing everyone each time. I used a decorative stitch to tie down the binding on Abby Quilt's perfect solution on baby quilts. I think means baby quilts, perfect solution. Yeah, something. Yeah, maybe I'll investigate that a little further at some point and just see. No embroidery, Julie, just a decorative stitch. Yeah. And Teresa says she uses decorative stitching on my first quilt. Didn't know any better. Okay, so anyways, what else can I say about the retreat besides the fact that I'm exhausted? I was really happy that we didn't really run into any technical difficulties, although that stupid app, and I don't think Heidi's on here, but Heidi found me a thing on the internet to how to get rid of it. I haven't done that yet. I just remembered it. There was something that Zoom came out with. They have all these different add-on apps for Zoom things that do things. And this one, I don't know why I even clicked on it. The way it was described, I thought it was going to do something that it didn't do. It did something else. What it basically did was, it actually is kind of a fascinating app because it's AI. What it does is it makes a transcript of everything that is said during your Zoom meeting. But it also summarizes and makes a point list of things that came out of it, and it's pretty good, but it's always recording, and I didn't like that. I don't need a transcript of what people are saying.
You're saying that you're doing the Zoom and you're not recording it.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And it comes up and asks the question you're recording, and
then I couldn't get rid of it. And a couple of people pointed out to me, it says it's your recording, and I said, just ignore it. I'm really not recording. Yeah, it's doing what I just said it's supposedly doing. But I tried to get rid of it. I could not get rid of it. I'd close it, but it would still do it. And there was nothing I could find. But Heidi found something, and I have to read it, and I'm going to go in and get rid of the damn thing. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, because we say, and we mean it, that, there's the retreats are not recorded. They're not to be reused or reposted or anything, and that's partially so that everybody can feel comfortable saying whatever they want to say during a retreat.
So there's no paper record of it, just keep everybody protected, kind of a thing. But yeah, so don't worry, anybody that was on the retreat yesterday, that's not there, it's gone, nothing there, I'm not doing anything with it, so yeah, not to worry. Okay, any other things about the retreat? Looking towards the next one, what I can do differently. If you have suggestions for possible presenters, keeping in mind that they have to be willing to do it for free with it. And of course, don't anybody suggest Jenny Doan, Angela Walters, the big names out there, because they're not coming. They're not going to do it for nothing. And even if I was to pay them, I don't think they would do it because, they're busy people. They have their own lives and businesses. But, other people, maybe some people you've seen on YouTube that you think would be good or whatever, I investigate them. I always check these people out. I really like to draw from the pool of talent of the people who are on my YouTube channel a lot.
Yeah, because everyday people, you can learn a lot from everyday people and how they do things. I mean, when I used to do stained glass too, one of the reasons I took the classes was that, and worked on a project that I was doing or something for myself, was to actually learn from other people that were there. And that's what the retreats are good for, is that, and craft and chat too. You learn from other people. Somebody may have a question that seems seems simple, like what kind of thread do you use,
Yeah.
or something like that, and get a different pile of different opinions.
Yeah, because everybody's at a different level, and everybody can learn something new from anything. Always. Nobody knows everything about everything. So if you have suggestions for presenters or anything else, just send them to me in an email, and I'll consider what you say. You might be giving me some other ideas. Now, I just noticed that Stephanie says, now we can get excited for Halifax. Who's coming? Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Halifax, because that's coming up very soon. And you know that Walter and I are both driving to the East Coast. We're making it into another vacay. And we're going down, but I do, and you've heard me talk about this, do want to have a meet and greet with anybody who is going to Halifax for the Canadian Quilt Show. I am now going to start concentrating my efforts this week on figuring out the venue for that and getting that organized. I did put out a feeler to everybody on my mailing list asking if you were going to Halifax, would you be interested in a meet and greet? And when I say meet and greet, what I mean is an hour, a couple of hours or something in one location, preferably someplace where we can get booze for those that would like to abide. You pay for your own booze. Sorry, I can't afford to buy you all a drink. I wish I could. If I win the lottery, I would. I'd buy you dinner too. I'd fly you all down for the occasion or whatever. But yeah, I don't buy lottery tickets, so that's not going to happen.
I do.
Yeah, Walter does, but yeah, I'm a you know, a born
I don't win anything though.
I'm a past Presbyterian, no longer that. And you know, we don't gamble, we don't swear, we don't have sex standing up because it could lead to dancing. So you don't expect me to buy you booze or anything like that. But anyways, back to the point at hand. I've had a few people already tell me who are coming and everything, and it just gives me an idea of numbers. It's not a commitment, like, you know, again for this. I won't hate you if you didn't show up and you said you thought you'd be, because you know it's hard to schedule this. It would probably be on the Friday of the Quilt Show, which is June the 9th, I believe. It would probably be in the late afternoon. My idea is to find someplace really close that has facilities for, you know, drinks anyways, maybe possibly food. I would try, if it's someplace, right now we were looking at a place that was a pub that was close by. However, it's a Friday and they're probably really busy, and you know, I don't want to tell them I have X number of people coming in the anticipation that these people are going to be buying a lot of food and a lot of drinks and having a real party, and you know, because take away from their regular clientele if that didn't happen. We're looking at the possibility of a hotel close to the convention center that has, you know, a lounge area kind of a thing, where I really don't have to call them up and say I'm going to have these people come. It's not going to get a meeting room or something like that.
Yeah.
But they have like a bar area, you know how often hotels do. There's one place there called, is Sutton Place?
There's a Sutton Place. Actually, the hotel we're staying in doesn't have.
Yeah.
We're staying in the Residence Inn, but it doesn't, as far as I know, have a bar area in it. But there is a hotel close by called the Sutton Place. Actually, it's attached to the convention center. And they might have a bar area.
Yeah, we have to explore that a little further and see. But, you know, it'll be probably in the 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30, something like that. And, you know, I'm thinking a couple of hours, you know, we have some drinks, we have talk, you know, that kind of thing. Very casual, very relaxed, very informal. You know, if I could also see it that, you know, we get to a point where everybody decides, you know, it might be nice, we can all have dinner or something somewhere. Well, we can, or, you know, those that want to. I know, very, you know, very loosey-goosey kind of thing. I've never done a meet and greet before. You know, I mean, I could sit at a table, sign autographs, Walter and I, you know, no, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think there's a bar. I looked at the website yesterday. They have meeting rooms and stuff like that, but I don't think there's a bar there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not worth trying to get a meeting room because it's not going to be a huge crowd. Right now, I think the maximum number, counting Walter and myself, from what I've gathered from people who have written to me, might be about 15 people.
I mean, there's bars all around there and stuff like that, but it depends on how busy they get on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't want to have to say, okay, we're going to meet at this bar, and then you end up having to wade through a whole bunch of people to get to there, and the place is busy type of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. But anyways, as I said, I will be talking about more details about that, and those people that have already written to me and said, yeah, they're going to Halifax and that, I've got your email addresses. I'll send you out the details for everything like that. So if you're thinking of going to Halifax, or you know you are and you're interested, let me know ASAP. Okay, just send it to my my email just to tell me, you know, you're going. If you're bringing other people with you, let me know how many, and if you're interested. Some people may not be interested.
I'm going to try and look around the next tonight or something and see what I can figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we've had a busy time lately. I mean, we went off to Vancouver, then we had the retreat. Now we're going off to the East Coast in a few weeks' time and that. And then we thought, well, there'd be a lull. Well, no, because we got tickets to Stratford. It's not England. Stratford, Ontario. That's famous for every year their Shakespearean festival. And they do other plays too. It's a big thing. And we haven't been in several years, but they're doing Rent is one of their productions. And I absolutely love Rent. So, and they're doing it in the festival stage. That's like it has been designed around the Globe Theater kind of stage that projects out, the apron stage kind of a thing. I've been there many times over the years and whatnot, and I really love seeing productions there because it's much more, you know, it's like theater in the round, around 3/4 of a round kind of a deal. Anyways, they're doing Rent, and so we got tickets. It cost us a bit, but we got good seats. And we've got tickets, and Walter's already, my travel agent, has already booked our hotel for that. And so that's in September that we go, middle of September. Then we'll have the fall retreat. And then when Christmas comes, just for it, we're going down to Stephanie's Georgia retreat. So this is a busy, busy year. And I'm sure we'll do some other things too before the year is out as well.
Stephanie said there's a Prince George
Hotel has a bar.
I'll take a look for that.
Okay, Walter's making a note of that, Stephanie. Thank you. She says not just how busy they are on a Friday night, but how busy they are on a Friday night with the conference going on. Yes, Teresa.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, for sure. What does I love that musical? Yeah, so do I. So anyways, I will announce plans as I get it all figured out. What other things have come up? Well, not a lot. We came home to our backyard, all the trees in the Boy Scout Reserve that backs onto our house. They cleaned them out. They left us a couple, but most of it was dead wood anyways. But the neighbor next door isn't happy because now she can see the outhouse. It's not like right in our backyard. The outhouse is a good.
Yeah, now like it used to be, there were so many trees and bushes and stuff in behind our front. We have a chain link fence. You couldn't really see beyond that, right? So if there was anybody walking around in there or anything like that, you couldn't see. And what they had done is when they built these houses, they had planted all these trees and bushes and that all the way along the fence, so that it sort of cut off you from seeing what a little further. There's a piece, there's some grass, and then there's more trees in the distance type thing, and there's an outhouse there. And they sometimes use that spot where people will camp in that area. So it used to be that we could see the tents where they camped in that. So now what they've done is they've cleaned a lot of the brush away that were like trees that were growing wildly from seeds and things like that. And so now we can see back in there again. And that's taken 28 years we've seen back there. So our neighbor seems to be very uptight about.
Yes. In fact, they're putting up, they already have sort of a decorative type of fence. They're filling in, they have these
gaps between the fence where you could see the brush, and they've made a more permanent fence so that they can't see, or people can't see into their
not
backyard.
that anybody comes
Not that
around
there's a whole lot of
Sunday.
people that are there. In fact, I kind of like it in that it now feels a little more airy.
Yeah, and if there
Back
are
there.
people back in
Yeah.
there camping, we can see them more easily and spy on them with our
Yeah,
binoculars.
So, but our neighbor on the one side seems to be very paranoid that somebody might be able to see into their backyard.
Yeah,
So,
so anyways, that's what they're doing with it. But yeah, it does look a little different, a little bit more bare. That's how we were
it
able to
was
see
kind
the
of
turkeys.
funny because when we were on our trip, we have a camera that points out the back of the house, and I was looking and I go, wait a minute, I can see the grass on the
Yeah.
other side there, and I said, there's something weird that has happened while we were away, and it turned out about 2 days after we left, they had actually cleared out all this this bush and everything.
Well, it's not a bad thing they cleared it out because there were a lot of trees that were dead
and they were growing wild, and there were dead trees,
and they could have fallen over onto our property and could have damaged
and
something.
the other thing is that what I was also worried about is that there were a lot of dead trees that what they've done is they cut the tree down and then they've just left the wood there. So there's the wood that's all dried out, and I was worried that one day it would cause a fire, and our houses aren't that far away from it.
Of course, mind you, that means the bunnies are more exposed now. They'll have to, and the little creatures that we have back there.
Yeah, I'm sure the little creatures were quite disturbed.
I'm sure they were. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that was something we came home to. And Walter had this brilliant idea, but he talked himself out of it. He thought he might like to buy a smoker.
Yeah, well, I decided I'm not doing.
Yeah. I think he was just having a FOMO moment because my sister and brother-in-law have a smoker, and everybody has a smoker. And I said, well, okay, if you got one, fine, we'll try it out. But I had a feeling it was one of those things we'd get a brisket, smoke it for 3 days, and that would be the last thing that we ever use it for, and take up space on our deck. And they're not cheap, but it was on sale. And you know, Walter, if it's on sale, well, that's a good price. Yeah, I didn't see it at that price before. Gotta get one. We're not getting a smoker. Teresa says, nothing stirs up a neighbor than taking out a dead tree. Yeah. Dead trees are a risk in so many ways. We have trees behind our homes in the grounds of a hospital. Lots of disagreement regarding whose responsibility maintenance the tree is. Yeah, that's true, Derek. A couple of years ago, I contacted this camp because there was one tree that was pretty dead, and it was leaning over on our property, and I was afraid it was going to come over, and then, if it damages anything, whose responsibility is it, and all this kind of stuff. So I contacted them a couple of times, and the last time I contacted them, I kind of put it on. I said, look, this tree, if it falls over and it damages anything, that tree is your responsibility. And
this could have happened too, because last year we had a really bad windstorm, and a tree further down the street had blown over went into somebody's house. So, and I think they've had to, as it's a liability for them to have those trees there. So
So, anyways,
and and the neighbor is also very paranoid in that we have windows that are across from each other, and they have even though they have window dressings on their windows, they've actually applied a frosting to their windows so you can't see
a frost treatment, like, I don't know what you call it, Mac Pack or whatever.
Yeah, like a plastic frosting.
It's okay, we're not voyeurs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't stand outside my window all the time and look and want to see old people walking around in the house next door.
Maybe we should frost our windows.
Yeah, I know.
There's a scary thought. Okay, on that note, though, I think it is time for us to go today. And I just want to say one thing. Looking at my analytics for a YouTube channel, there are a lot of people who pop in all the time and catch the videos now, but you're not a subscriber. Now, this is something I don't usually do, but if you're going to come here on a regular basis, why not hit the subscribe button? Because it helps. You've heard people say this before. Now I'm saying it, and I almost bite my tongue saying this. It helps out my channel.
However, most of the people that are on here are your subscribers.
Are my subscribers on here,
you
but
have the filter in there. So.
Yeah, but we also don't. Yeah, that's true. We do have a
But
Facebook
actually,
one.
this is recorded and
Yeah, and
Yeah.
other people see it. But anyways, I'm just saying it costs nothing to subscribe, kind of a deal. But I'm kind of got a secret mission. I would really be happy if I had 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm almost at
so you're
8,600.
gonna have to start adding that to your thing. If you
Yeah, I'm
like-
not going to do it.
Oh.
No, okay. Just, yeah, no. It's like begging. I'm not begging. I'm not a beggar.
begging.
Whatever. Anyways, it is time to say goodbye. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to all that showed up for the retreat yesterday as well. And I hope you have a good week. And we'll see you for Stephen and Walter Live next Sunday. So bye everybody.
Bye.